but you never know. Not yet. Come on, Elon Musk. Let our stuff. There it is. What's up?
Yeah.
Welcome to 520 Collective. Make sure you check us out at 520collective.com. If you're watching this on Twitter, make sure you're following at 520_co. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And you know what it is, man. We are back with another live interview here tonight. And typically, this is the part where I would plug our sponsor. But, man, I got a special guest hanging out with me, helping co host. And that is my dude, Daryl, from The Bookkeeper 24/7. And
What's
they
good?
announcer
What's good?
of this show, man. So I'm going to let Daryl, what's up, man? What's up? Hey, go ahead and tell the people about what is going on over at tbk247.com, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, Eric. Always. You know, our friendship run deeper than these websites and ministry. But I appreciate you having us on. This is Daryl, the co-CEO of the Bookkeeper 247.com. And man, if you want to check us out, we got a lot going on over there. You know, podcasts, videos, working on the ebook, everything for the family. And I just enjoy hanging out with you tonight. I appreciate the invite.
Dude, I'm excited to have you on here. As always, we appreciate you and just your friendship and supporting what goes on over here at 520 Collective. Guys, make sure, like I said, go to 520collective.com. While you're there, make sure you sign up for our newsletter. We got that going through Substack. You can do that right there on the homepage. So do that, get tapped in, stay up to date on all the latest that's happening. So, man, Daryl, we got a big one, man. We got a big one here tonight. I'm
Yes,
so
sir.
excited. I mean, dude, you know from our conversations, I go back a little ways with some of this stuff, right? Some of this Christian rap out here. And two guys, man, that were a big part of like my youth, right? Yeah, I can say my youth, right? I mean, early 20, 19, 20, that's
Yeah,
young,
That's
right?
youth.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
So,
youth.
so, but they're here, man. They're back. They got a new group that talk about. We're joined by Knowdaverbs. We're joined by Pettidee. They're known as Village King. What's good, fellas? We are excited to have you here on
Yeah,
520collective.com.
man. Blessing to be here, man. Real talk.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, man, I've been having some conversations with some of the guys on the team, and just throwing some of the different thoughts and stories that I had just growing up and listening to y'all's music, man. And I started thinking about you guys individually, and then whenever you announced the forming of Village King, I was like, okay, I'm really interested to see how this is going to come together, right? Because
Right.
it's two very different styles,
Right.
right? Um,
And
so I
and
guess,
I have to
yeah.
actually give you props for being the first one to actually, like, before even hearing any music, just from the announcement, man. Big shout out, big salute to you, man. When you did the video in the car and just had people's thoughts on it. Man, it was love, man. You know what I'm saying? I sent that to Verbs and I was like, yo, this is a blessing, man. It's gonna do something, man. So I got to give you your props. I got to give you your flowers and your shout out for that, man. For
Oh
real. You,
man,
you was the
I appreciate
first.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey, it was no thing, man. I was excited. I was
yeah.
excited because, well, here's what's been interesting to me, man. Over the past like year or two, right, is we're starting to see some of the veteran artists within Christian hip hop, Christian rap. They're starting to come back around, man.
Yeah,
You got Corey Red and Precise that dropped
yeah,
new music. You got Ambassador coming back. You got Mars Ill dropped a single. I'm hoping for more from them, but who knows? But all these guys, man. And then here comes Pettidee, Know the Verbs, Village King. How did this pairing kind of start, man? Like, what was the first little dive into? Hey, maybe this is something we should do.
Yeah. So, man, at the beginning, first of all, we've been affiliated with each other for years by way of just the Grits crew. The main connection was Bonafide from Grits. He knew Petty from back in Jacksonville, and so that's kind of where we first met during that time frame. I had been on the road with Grits for years, and then started doing solo stuff. And right around that time, if I'm not mistaken, Petty moved up to Nashville, and he started going on the road with Grits at that time as well. So we've always been around and known each other. We've worked on a few songs before in the past. Petty had a Christmas record that came out a few years back to where we did a song, the We Three Kings song. So we'd always been around each other, but as far as a venture like this, that wasn't probably till later on. Because I mean, at that time we were both on our own, solo efforts and making music in that regard. So, but yeah, as far as we're contemporaries and brothers and all that,
Yeah.
and around in the same circle of friends. So
Yeah. Actually, brothers first, man. I mean, the crazy part is that I think our friendship was a friendship that two guys just happened to do music, and I moved up here producing. I was already a solo artist, but as a producer, shout out to Grits, Bone and Coffee, man. They gave me my shot as a producer to produce for them. And then, like Verb said, I started going on the road with them as well. But we also went to the same church, and so we're all part of the same church family. And so we've always been brothers and comrades, man. Um, and I remember when he got married, and we would my wife, his wife, we would go out to Denny's and just kick it, man. And it's just a brotherhood. And then we just talked about music. So a lot of people don't say, they say, well, how did these two, they don't even know that there's this circle of we were right there connected, but they've never seen us connected music.
Oh, we'll get Petty back here in just
I'll
a
pick it up.
second, man.
But yeah, never seen us
Yeah,
connected
yeah.
musically in that regard. So, but yeah, because again, we were at that time, and you would see that a lot, kind of late '90s, early 2000s. Like guys were a lot more connected, I would say, because there were only so many of us doing it at that time, and so that's kind of where I think a lot of the camaraderie came. Depending on where you were in the country, I think a lot of guys had were fans of each other's music. Some not so much, but at that time, as far as us here in Nashville, it was kind of a small circle. Everybody knew each other back then, like that. So
Yeah, man. And whenever I was talking to the team, and Daryl, don't let me don't let me talk more than you, okay? So
Nah,
feel
you
free to
good.
jump
You
in here.
good.
But whenever I was talking to the team, and I was throwing out some of my observations and just thinking about your guys' career and stuff, like I feel like you guys did maybe some. I don't know if first is exactly right, but there's some stuff that, like, whenever I look at your career, I'm like, okay, if they weren't the first doing this, there was that you were definitely right there with it. You're one of the first doing it. And Petty, I'll start with you, man, because I think you were one of the very first artists I heard that. Well, one, I mean, you just got this unique voice, right? Whenever you hear a Pettidee record, it's Petty. But I feel like you were one of the first artists that I heard that really just took that kind of just that grittiness of life, man, and put it into Christian music in a way that was just very real. You didn't necessarily have to sugarcoat anything, but you presented it in a way where it was still something that was accessible. And oh, here he's back here. Well, I
Was
say
was that me? Did mine click out?
yeah, you kind of dropped out a couple of times, but
Okay.
but no, what I was saying was, you had this kind of gritty music, right? That it reflected real life, but you did it in a way that was still something that was acceptable or accessible, right?
Right.
And easy to, I guess, just go along with, if that makes
Right.
sense to me.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of artists, back when you talking about like late 90s, you were still very much having to be a little careful with what you were doing whenever it came to hip hop in the Christian world,
Right.
because you're trying to be accepted by the people in the church, right? I mean, just talk a little bit about that if you would, man. Just like how, like, was it easy for you to, I guess, just embrace that rawness of life? He is gone again, looks like. Okay, we'll come back to that. Verbs, and let me ask you. I mean, obviously, you were one of the first artists on Goatee. I don't know if you were the first, but you were one of the early artists on Goatee, right? So
early artists, I probably would be in that second wave category.
yeah,
You know,
man.
you had Out of Eden Grits, a group called Christafari, and another
Yeah,
group
yep.
called Johnny Q Public. At that time, they were like some of the first artists that were signed to the label.
Right. So what was that like? Because I mean, I always try to give a lot of respect to Toby whenever people are talking about the, like, I guess Mount Rushmore of hip hop, of Christian hip hop, right? And say Toby's
Yeah.
got to be on there. Not even just from what he did as an artist in his own right, but what
Right.
he was able to do with Goatee in general,
Yeah.
right? Because he put a lot of y'all on
Yeah.
that probably didn't have that many opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, the formulation of Goatee at the time that it happened was definitely like super out of the box. One, the genres that he was signing in the CCM market, like nobody else was doing it. You had, you know, some rap labels, but he had a rap group with Grits, a three sister R&B group with Out of Eden, a reggae group across the Christafari. So at that time, that was kind of unheard of. So they kind of really pushed the envelope of what CCM looked like and sounded like, because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't the Sandy Patty or the Amy Grant or the Stephen Curtis. It was just he brought a whole bunch of different sound and kind of started redefining what CCM looked like at that time.
Yeah, man. And then your first project with them, the Syllabus. Right. I mean, I still got that in my car, man. I still rock
Oh
it
yeah.
to this day.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
that's how I ended up. That was see. They're not gonna. I'm moving y'all because I got family in and we
You on
we
cops right
trying to
now.
make
Look
it
like you on
happen,
cops.
we trying to make it happen. And
Yeah.
you know, I got adult kids, man. So everybody's getting in how they fit in. So, but no, man, just speaking to what you were saying about the syllabus, man. I remember the syllabus, believe it or not, man. People always say, Petty, you an OG and all this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't understand, man. Know the verbs, bro. Like 1999, he was on his second album. My first album came out in 1999. The syllabus, I remember when the syllabus first came out. I was at Mo Henderson, who was the owner of Shabak Entertainment. He was playing the record for me, and I was like, man, dude, I was like, this dude right here is fire, man. He just the lyrics. He got lyrics, man. He got bars, and it's just I was just smitten with him, bro, as a lyricist. And then I actually, it's funny because as a producer, I was just trying to get my shot. Like, yo, like I want to produce for this dude. I did a remix. And the GMA Gospel Music Week used to be in Nashville, and it's on a cassette tape. And I said, man, one day I'll get to meet Knowdaverbs, and I'm gonna play him this beat, and hopefully he'll like it and do a remix. Verbs still has that cassette tape.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for just now. I thought I had it in the drawer, but yeah.
I don't
throw music away.
Is it in the studio?
Yeah, it's in this drawer somewhere, but yeah, I hang on to stuff that I cherish, man. So I got a bunch of music just hanging around. I mean, I think the last interview we did, I still had my original PID /
That's
Preachers
right.
Violent
wow.
Playgrounds cassette. So,
well, man, I'm bro. Listen, I'm here to remind people, man. Like, you know, I just put out so many records and at the same time, but just to remind people, man, of the legacy of this brother, man. Like for real. He's my brother, but I'm also a fan of his music and just him as a person. I'm just so thankful, man, and how the group happened was so organic that it's just a story that we just enjoy telling over and over again, because like you said, brother, like people go, how in the world is this comparison? How did these two get together and do music? And not knowing that we both have a relationship that spans over 20 years. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So for, I guess my question for you, man, and Darryl, I'll let you get it right after this, but just before we move completely away from the syllabus, like whenever I get a chance to talk to people about the history of Christian rap, right? I mean, that album and that title record, right, is one that I can always point to and be like, this is one you need to listen to, because it still goes to this day,
yeah.
like, how do you view that first release with Goatee, man? Like, I know sometimes people don't want to brag on themselves, but like, what's the legacy of that project in particular in your eyes?
Yeah, man, that was that was like the 19-year-old me, first time out of the house. I had just moved from Phoenix, Arizona to Nashville. The guys from the Grits were like my only connection to Nashville at that time. But those songs were basically, me from 17, 18, 19 years old, kind of codifying just different thoughts that as I was growing as a believer and as a young man, that record really just codifying that whole season of life, and then being able to actually record it in a medium to where other people can actually hear that was like, I was over the moon just at the opportunity to be able to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like to be able to get it out, record it, and to be available. And then it's like, all right, well, then you continue to grow as an artist as well. So it's like, okay, love what we did here. That's kind of the snapshot for that season. What does the next one look like? So, but I mean, I get that. I hear that a lot, to where a lot of people that were just kind of coming into the faith during that era, that the syllabus was one of the main records that they heard that really blesses me, because it is normally, this is the record that I heard that encouraged me along in my faith as a new believer. And for me, thinking back to the time, that was the aim of the record. Like, I wanted to be able to offer music that was edifying and encouraging to whoever heard it, whether they were in the culture or not. But then people who were familiar with the culture and familiar with the sound of hip hop, I wanted the same thing to happen. They may not know Jesus, but I wanted them to be able to hear a life lived following Jesus, the lessons learned in following Jesus, and just the opportunity that of a life that you have when following Jesus. So
Wait, let me get my history right. So Action Figure came out in 99. That was the second album, right?
Yep.
So what year did Syllabus come out?
98?
Ooh.
I think it was 1998.
I was still recording my first album. Well, I was still recording Still Alive. People give me a lot of props for Still Alive, but 1998, I was still recording Still Alive, and Syllabus was the first album. Action Figure was the second album. Action Figure is the one where I did where I submitted the remix
God is big,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. God is big, huge. Yeah. So man, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm a fan of this brother, man. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, his history in this industry, man, runs deep, and Village KNG is a way for us to give him his flowers and let people know, man, this cat nice on these lyrics, man. He love God and he know that word. And man, bro, I'm just excited for y'all to hear what we doing in its entirety, man. So yeah,
yes,
bro.
Sir. Yes, sir. Darryl, I know you had something, man. I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Oh, yes, sir. So I'm getting educated now, right? Because I'm a late bloomer, like I told y'all, right? So I'm getting really educated, right? But so I'm glad that Petty brought up Village KNG, because when Josh Spear Hip Hop sent it over to us, right? and I put on that, I believe Harriet Tubman was the first one, right? And I'm like, whoa, these brothers cold, right? So my question is, and just listening to you all, and a lot like Eric pointed out, a lot of the OGs and veteran rappers coming back. And I know everybody do the cliche thing, I fear nobody but God and all that. But was there any fears or nervousness or doubts when the concept and the ideal and everything came out that y'all put together about Village King, and then to come out with it?
I'll let Verse kick that off because he's got a great his mind, the way his mind works, and that's why our partnership is so unique and it works so well, because we specialize in both areas, and then we have areas where we both meet on a ground level, but we lean on each other so much. But I'll let him kick that off. I'll let him kick that off because I don't want to get long-winded, man.
Yeah, I would say first of all, that's a great question.
Yes, a great question.
I think one thing is, well, first of all, I'll say, Petty has been recording music ongoing probably since the last time, you saw Petty drop a record. He's constantly in that zone of writing, recording. Myself, we were talking a little bit before we went live, I just been on hiatus since 2007 as in regards to like recording full records. Had a few features here and there, maybe throughout the years, but for me, I just pressed pause. I was getting married at the time. We were building a family, so I was fine with stepping out, knowing there was, a whole new wave of artists coming up that, that they could keep whatever they wanted going and keep creating that sound that pointed people to Jesus. And so I didn't really have a burden of anything to say at that point. So when we came around to the Village King idea and started to record, one of the things, if we're being like transparent, like we're familiar with the waters, but then we also recognize that stepping back in at this point in time, there's different currents in the water. And those things are the ones we had to kind of refamiliarize ourselves with and say, okay, the concept is the same, but now it looks like this. So when you're trying to record, then from the label side, trying to make those decisions and moves and relearning the process, some of it can be a little bit daunting because you're also on a timeline now, and you want to make the best out of the pieces that you have in your hand as you make these moves. So I think the fear, well, not necessarily the fear, but if there was apprehension, it was just the fact that we knew that, we're having to learn and build the plane at the same time as we're flying it. There's absolutely people like you mentioned, Josh from Sphere of Hip Hop, who were great help. Tim and the team Syntax were great help getting us reoriented into the new waters that we were going into for us. The music side was the easy side because at this point, at this stage in the game, it's like a song like Harriet Tubman. There's definitely an aggressiveness to it, but it was something that we felt like needed. The essence of the song is something that needed to be said because ultimately we're talking about people's ability to be free in Christ using the character, not the caricature, but using the persona of Harriet Tubman and what she committed her life to doing and seeing people free by leading them to freedom with putting her own life at stake. So that's kind of what that movement between starting to record, coming up with a song like Harriet Tubman looked like for us. So we're students again in the game, learning like everybody else.
And just to piggyback off that is that we're never nervous on what to say, or nervous is in this point of we're getting ready to come out and we're nervous about that. That's second nature to us. And then on the other side is even though I'm a pretty extroverted personality, but I'm introverted in a lot of areas. So you get me going. We got a lot to say, but I really have to be goaded into just push. If you notice, I don't just, neither one of us really just jump on the internet just saying stuff just to be saying stuff. But the good side to that is there's a lot of thought process, and when we get ready to write rhymes, we got a lot to say because we've been holding it in. So in that aspect of writing a song like Harriet Tubman, man, it's coming from a lot of thought process. It's coming from a lot of things that we watched in the community and things that we watch in the music industry and things that we watched happen in life, to be able to pin it. And even when we were coming up with it, we got videotape of us coming up with the concepts of it, and just art imitating life and starting to talk about music, and just letting the music as an artist speak to us. And that's why the hook was, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed more, and just speaking from the concept of the song of now people are spiritual slaves and mental slaves. And when Harriet said that, we're paraphrasing it, when she said that was even that she was trying to free them from physical slavery, but a lot of them were bound in their mind. The slavery mentality that still plagues people, white, black, or otherwise. There are so many people that are entrenched in slavery, and that's why we came from a modern day mentality of it. And we had a lot to say, we had a lot to say. And shout out to Rocket. We felt that it wouldn't be fair to Christian hip hop or to what we represent to do a song about Harriet Tubman without premiering a female MC on it, and we had her anchor it. So shout out to Rocket, man. She did her thing, and she spoke from a female perspective, and that was really big for us, to have her represent for the ladies and speak from that perspective on the song. And so everybody, each one of us, if you listen back to the song, each one of us spoke from a perspective of freeing minds. So.
Yes, sir. Eric, one more real quick. So when you're talking about the current waters, right, Christian hip hop right now, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I like hearing maturity in the music, right? So the older I get, let me say that, I like to hear mature bars. I like to hear life bars, right? I'm married, I'm raising twins, I work, I get up 4 o'clock Monday through Friday. So I like to hear the maturity. So the waters of Christian hip hop, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. Let me put it in the form of a question.
Don't be scared, Daryl. Come on.
Don't
be
scared.
Just say it, man.
Put it out there. Go put it out
I
there.
say the worst thing that happens is they unsubscribe.
Right.
That's worse.
No, don't put it out there.
No. It's a lot of debates, right? So we got a lot of generations in Christian hip hop right now, right? Village King, what did you see was missing, and what are you bringing to it now?
I want to answer that, man, but I want to let because mine is a short answer. It's not just Village King or just Christian hip hop. There's a whole resurgence of adult artists, grown man rap. It's like it's time, that old school mentality, or just saying new rap and old rap, where you got brothers that's got their, as long as we keep our ear to the street and we know what's going on, hip hop is 50. So that doesn't mean that, see, hip hop is one of the only ones, we're the last ones to splinter off. We're the last ones to, rock grows up, and then you had classic rock and traditional rock and punk rock, and you know what I'm saying? And then jazz did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? You got classic jazz, you got soul jazz, R&B did the same thing. Hip hop is the last one to do that. And what's been happening with cats like Wu-Tang Clan and Method Man, all these different guys, is that it's grown man rap out here now. So it's like, I'm not trying to, wear skinny jeans and have different color hair. And I'm not against that, but I'm a grown man, like you said. I'm raising, I have adult children. So, but at the same time, I still got something to say. And I think that we're a group that is a part of that generation. You look at Nas, everybody's so happy that Nas is rapping again. Everybody's so happy that, you know what I'm saying, you got this is a whole generation of artists that's embracing, I'm not an old school rapper. I'm a grown man. This grown man rap. So for me, we're bringing that OG perspective without saying we old school. Like, bro, we ain't old school. Like, we've been in this a long time, and we still got something to say. And we're a part of that generation that matures and allows hip hop to splinter off, allows hip hop to be. We're a part of that process that matures. And I know that I said I was supposed to be a short answer, but we bring the experience to the music to allow our genre to grow. And man, that's what we bring to the table. We're not trying to be like nobody else. We're not trying to say we still got it and all that kind of stuff. We can do this like the back of our hand, but we still here to preach Jesus. We still here to let people know that Jesus is Lord. All this stuff about CHH dying, you can't kill CHH. You can't kill what the Lord Jesus Christ has originated in us. And we're here as grown men to hold the line for that, man. So,
amen.
Yeah, I would say, man, there's a lot that could be said with that question to answer that question.
Yeah.
But I'll echo what Petty said. Like, when you look in the broader spectrum of hip hop being 50 years old, and you being able to really pinpoint. I know you said 2012, but you can go all the way back to 1982 as far as like the first rap record where they would be considered a Christian rap song, and that's like a year before Stephen Wiley came out with Bible Break. So it goes back almost as far as the genre itself.
Yeah.
So I think it's only natural to where you're gonna have different trends come in. You had gangster rap, then you had backpack, and then you had more of a pop, hip hop sound. So it's changed and transformed through the years, and then people have grown up with it through the years. So they might still enjoy a certain style. It's almost like when you at the barbecue with your auntie and uncle who's in their 70s, and you put on some whatever the hot R&B was back then. That's gonna get them out
Marvin
of
Gaye,
Marvin Gaye, somebody. Frankie, there it is, Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Yeah, that's the standard barbecue music right there.
Right.
But man, that's gonna get the party up, right? So I think now, because hip hop is growing, because the age of hip hop is growing and it's hitting 50, then you're gonna have people that are in their 60s and 70s who were there from the very beginning, who enjoy a certain sound and style of it. Right. And the older you get, it's harder to follow. It's harder to keep current with what's out, as far as you're not in that season of life to where you just eat, drink, sleep music all the time. So when you go to music, when you ride in the car, it's a long commute to the job or what have you, you're going to select what you like. And so I think for us kind of stepping in during this season of time and the stage of life where we're at as husbands, as fathers, our topics are going to be different, because this is the snapshot of where we're at in life, for one. But then the foundation of what we're building on is from a certain era and a certain sound as well. Not that we don't try to, compete against ourselves and say, let's not just settle in that. Let's challenge ourselves to even, we like this, but let's challenge ourselves with some of these newer sounds and some of these newer ideas that are out.
Yeah.
Just so we can stay sharp within ourselves and not just, keep the same cadence that we did in 93, 94.
Yeah, man. And you talked about having something to say and having these different sounds. So, and something that Daryl and I were both talking about, like, I think our favorite record so far has been Harriet Tubman, but there's a lot of people I know that has really loved Forward Motion as well. They're like, that's the one right there, right? Like, I mean, shoot, I was texting with Eddie Puyo, and we were talking about y'all's record,
Yeah.
and he was like, no, that's the one right there. That's the boys got it with that
one. Shout out Eddie, man. Shout out Eddie, bro.
Yeah, man, that's my dude, man. I need to actually hit him back. I owe him a text, so I gotta get that back to him, man. But no, like, I think that like what you say is you're showing, hey, we can do more than just what we did 20 years ago or whatever it is, right? And you're making great records as Village King, man. So I guess why was right now the time when, because verbs, I know you specifically, we kind of talked about you've been on a maybe years hiatus, right? Why was now the right time, man, for Village King to happen? And well, it's you can answer it however you want, but I don't also want
Sure.
to find out about the meaning behind the name as well, because I think I could try to be funny and come up with like a meaning behind that name, in my flesh, be like, yo, CHH is a village and the Kings are back, something like that. But I'm gonna let y'all talk about that
Yeah.
though.
So on the first part of the question, again, I think for me, I mean, I started started rapping specifically for Jesus from age 12. The week I came to Christ at a summer camp, 1987 to be exact. So me and my best friend back home, man, we that same week we're at this camp, we newly saved, and we were just excited to learn more about this new life that we've committed to. And so I've been doing it from there, and then was a heavy contributor, mid early 90s, early 2000s. And then I think I just felt, if I'm looking back, I think I just, going into it, it had always been a thing for me. Moving to Nashville was like, oh, here's another group of believers who are doing music in the same vein that we are. And there's a larger community here in Nashville to where this is a thing. Like I was just coming to make music for the love of doing it, and creating an avenue for other people to hear about Jesus through hip hop music. And then kind of getting introduced into more of the business side of what all of that looks like. And, again, we weren't back then. CCM was still getting used to, or learning learning what to do with Christian hip hop at that time. But we weren't, again, that wasn't like the saving grace of being able to fit into that box. We were all just guys that love hip hop culture, love doing music, and would go take it wherever it needed to go to. We'd hop in the van and drive up to wherever to do shows. And that it wasn't necessarily about elevating up the chain per se, because at that point there was no chain. It was just, you had your top CCM artists that sounded way different than what we were doing. For us, it was just the biggest thing used to be like, hey, can we just get our CD inside the regular hip hop bin at Best Buy versus in the back of the gospel bin at Walmart?
Right.
Like, that was a move for us, because we was like, look, these people who listen to this music, they're not going over to the Reverend James Cleveland section to get this record.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so yeah, that's kind of how that was for me. But I got to the point where it's like, look, it's not the joy of doing it at that point when I kind of stopped was like already gone, because it was trying to figure out the machine. There was a shift in the trend of CCM at that time. And I was about to get married. And so I was fine with just tapping out, because I wasn't tied to it as if this is my sole identity and what I'm doing. I enjoy doing it, but I don't have to do it in this form right now. So for me, I just kind of tapped out. Life continued to go. Kind of shifted into more of the observer role and watching other guys come up and do their, other guys and gals come up and doing their thing. And I didn't really have a burden at that point to really say anything that would force me to go into the studio and like record records. I just didn't feel it at that time. So my commitment was to my family, my wife and my kids, and seeing what else God had wired me to do, because I've been doing music since from an early age. So that was kind of when I tapped out, and when I kind of just kind of faded to black for, man, that amount of years. So, but I'll let Petty speak to the other part of that question on the Village King part, as far as the meaning behind it.
Yeah, I mean, and then on that, what he was saying about tapping out, now all the years that he was out of the public eye, you got to remember, as brothers, we still, I'm seeing him, I'm seeing him all the time. I'm seeing him at church, and then even when I don't see him, and then when I do see him, we just pick up where we left off, always as brothers. And I remember for me, I've always been in the music, even when I wasn't in the public eye. I've always been doing stuff behind the scenes. I've after my Thug Love album, and then I think it was the I'm a Vet. Before I was putting out an album a year. When I first came out, I was putting out an album a year. And then, like Verb said, as life happens and as you begin to have family and begin to see what else, as a person and as a man of God, what else does God have for me? Those we had a year would happen, 2 years would happen, kind of. And then 2010, we did I did the Race to Nowhere with the song The Ghetto. And then I got really heavy into TV and film placements because I write and produce my stuff. And so I did, we did Sons of Anarchy, the FX show, Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns, just a whole bunch of stuff, just a list of stuff, CSI. And so I just kind of step back. To be honest with you, the industry began to give me a because even though I've done stuff as far as Grammy nominations and Stellar nominations, when I first got into this, man, I was just a hood dude passing my CD out to anybody that was listening and using my music as a witnessing tool in the hood. And then God just began to bless it and elevate it. And I went through a whole season of because I came out of the mainstream. So a lot of people don't know that, but I didn't break out in the mainstream, but I was supposed to be next. I was considered that guy in Florida that was next, and then I got saved. I gave my life to the Lord, and I remember going to the studio and I was like, yo, I'm gonna rap for Jesus, and remember dudes laughing like, yo, like you gonna be a Jesus rapper? Like, is that even a thing? And then God just began to bless it. And but when I got to Nashville, started producing and just doing some things with my label Soldier Sound, and went through some trials and tribulations, and I just stepped back. I stepped back from the music, but I've always been recording. Because I was doing the TV and film stuff, and I just really still love music, but I just kind of had a bad taste in my mouth for a while. And again, I'm the type of person that if I don't have anything to say, man, I'm just not going to just hop in front of the camera just to be talking. And, but, I just began to really miss, I was doing the TV and film stuff and just doing stuff and doing features and all that and producing for other people. But I miss that time of witnessing and doing concerts and being with my brothers, being with Verse, being with Grits. And I just began to go through this whole season of missing that camaraderie, missing my brothers, missing being able to see Verbs and kick it with Verbs and DJ Madge and the Grits brothers and DJ Skill Spins. And then I just started calling the brothers, just start picking up the phone. And, especially with COVID and all this stuff going on. And I got started getting into voiceover. And I called Verbs and I was just like, man, I miss you. Just miss the brotherhood, man. We need to hook up, because there was no reason for us to have that gap that we had as brothers. And I just picked up the phone, called him. He was like, man, you hit me at a good time because I moved in the area, so we pretty much live in the same area. And so I was like, yo, let's sit down and have lunch, man. We sat down and had lunch, and I was telling him, what I was working on and the music and voiceover. I actually finished the EP and hadn't released it yet. And he was like, yo, I've been doing that, doing voiceover for some years. And I was like, yo, like this crazy. So he was like, why don't you come to my studio? So long story short, I came to his studio and he was showing me some stuff. And then he said, yo, I got some music I want you to check out, see what you think. Like we was just doing a brotherhood thing, like strictly just brotherhood, as it's always been. And then he just started playing some music for me. And the music just started speaking to me, man. And he was just like playing the track. And then like being as an artist, even when a beat is banging, you might hear rappers say this. If the track not speaking to me, it's hard for me to write to it. But if the track starts speaking to me, I'm gonna start rapping to it. He started playing these tracks, and I was like, yo, I haven't felt this feeling. Now, granted, I had music that I had already recorded, was sitting back, waiting to release it, just didn't have that spark, didn't have that fire, didn't have that flame. And when he was playing these tracks, I just jumped on the mic and just started doing these mumble verses. And he started doing these mumble verses, and we just started going back and forth. He was like, wait, let me record this. So he literally pressed record, and we just started going back and forth and pushing each other off the microphone. And I was like, I haven't felt like this since I was 14 years old. I was like, this is something special. And he recorded those mumble tracks, and then I said, you got another track? And he put on another track, and we did the same thing to that. And then we rolled out to those mumble tracks like as if it was a full album, like for a week. And then I called him like, yo, we got something. Like, yo, we got something. Let's do something with this, man. I told him, I said, but I'm not interested in everybody doing the collab thing. I'm not interested in the collab thing. It's got to mean something. I'm at a point in my life, man, where I don't want to do something just to be doing it. This got to mean something. I want to do something with my brother. And I was like, man, this sounds like a group. And then these were mumble tracks. And he was like, man, I agree. He was like, I've been listening to it for a week myself. And he was like, only thing I'm asking you is just let's hold off before we announce anything. I let everybody, because life start happening. You start letting people know what you're doing, and then it kind of fizzles out. But this never fizzled out, man. It's just like the next song, and then the next song, and then the next song. And we kept it on. We kept it under wraps for a while, man. And so this thing is completely organic, man. And you guys are gonna hear that. And when we started letting the Grits brothers listen to it, and they was like, yo, y'all sound like a group. And I was like, that's exactly what it is, man. And so for us, we kind of kicked around maybe 2 or 3 names. I know two in particular, but how we came up with the Village King.
Wait, before you say that though.
Okay.
Now that the song is out, Eric, we was talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
So Afro Frontier was actually the first idea for the group name.
Yes.
Afro Frontier. I don't want to say it without giving my man his proper shot, but there's a guy by the name of Dr. Timothy Nelson, who's a historian. He coined this term called Afro Frontier or Afro Frontierism. But he's basically a lot of his research is around the westward movement of African Americans post enslavement towards the West. And so the reason why I'm connected to that term is a lot of his study is based around a town in New Mexico called Blackdom, which my 3 times great grandfather helped start that town in New Mexico. And so that's where I became aware of the terminology. And I was like, wait, and I didn't know he actually created the word. And so we were talking, during these mumble track sessions and throwing out names. It was like, we were talking about some unrelated. It was like Afro Frontier. We were talking about family.
Yeah.
It was like Afro. It was like, man, that'd be a dope group name. Yeah. And so when we recorded Afro Frontier, it was actually another title, but that was, you can hear it lyrically in the lyrics, but that's when we recorded it as if we were assuming our name would be that. And then we ended up moving to the Village King, which Petty came up with that name.
Yeah, and even with the song Afro Frontier, that started from conversation, just he and I sitting down and just being amazed by the history, the rich history of his family as far as Afro Frontier, and so it was like, yo, like that would be a dope group name, but we slowly moved away from it. Everybody's saying, you got the term, calling each other kings, and but I know a lot of times we don't concentrate on being the king of self first, and the king of our own household, and the king of our own families in our own village. And then, I was just like, as far as I'm just a village king serving the King of Kings, and we're just we're just Village Kings, but we serve the King of Kings. But as a group, we took the I out because there's no I in King in King. So it's Village KNG, but it's Village King. And you know, when we actually I said Village Kings, and Verbs was like, you know what? Like, what if it's just us unified serving the King of Kings? And I was like, I like that. And so we took the S off. And so we just, and even in the name Village King, we want brothers to, you know, concentrate on being the king of their own camp, the king of their own village, the king of the king of oneself as well too, because you have to govern yourself, you have to operate as a king, and there are certain things that you just can't do because you're a king. But we all lay our crowns down under the King of Kings, and so that's pretty much where we stand on it. And I'm just thankful that when people hear the name, they indirectly they understand that, and so yeah.
Yeah, man. And of course, you know, Afro Frontier, the new record, the new single out today, man.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I feel like I haven't got a chance to spend as much time as I need to with it. I mean, I've listened to it several times already.
Yeah.
I love it. But the one thing that hit me right away with it, man, and Petty, I think I was saying this before we went live and maybe even before you jumped in here, but I felt like Harriet Tubman and Forward Motion, I felt like those were showing what Village King as a duo, as a group can do, right? Moving forward, working as one. With Afro Frontier, I felt like this is a song that really showcases those attributes that we see from you guys as individual artists in one record.
Yeah.
That's what has
Appreciate
jumped
that.
out to me. And
what's
I
up.
don't know. I mean, I said I think Harriet is still my favorite one so far, but I don't know, man. I listened to this one a little bit more. We'll see. But
Yeah. It's gonna grow on you, brother. It's definitely a workout gym. Get your pump. Like the bass is banging. Like it's a slow burn. And it's the one, this one and the one that we coming up with King. These two songs, man, really challenged us. Like, yo, we went back and forth on Afro Frontier.
Yeah, it was beat wise. He was gonna say beat wise, you know, it really challenged us because again, these were different types of tracks that we had never rapped on tracks like these in our own solo, solo lanes. So it was like, man, we can't just jump on it. We got to sit with it and figure out what we want it. We got to study some of these newer flows and these newer cadences and see how we can blend all that together. So yeah, they made us go sit down a couple of times and then pop right back up and knock it out.
Yeah, man. Daryl, what did you think listening to the new record, man? I know you're like me, man. Harriet Tubman is up there. What were your thoughts as you were listening to this drop today?
I loved it. I probably didn't play it back to back for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got like a 40-minute commute, and I'm like, man, let me split this. I need to wake up, but I love it, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. I think, it's completely different, and I believe what you're saying. It'll grow on me. I love the video for Harriet Tubman as well. But I'm about like Eric now. I'm kind of like, what's next, right? But I do know one thing I wanted to ask, like some of the differences between then and now. And I heard Eric ask Pettidee before, you dropped out, right? But one of the things that I think that he was saying about your music, how it was raw and life at the same time, right? So one of the problems that I see now is our church, the church that I used to attend, was in the hood, right? And it seemed like the hood accepted Christian hip hop before the elder saints accepted Christian hip hop.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I'm hearing you all going to church together. Is it still like that now from when you all started?
Not as much, man. It was rough. It was rough at first. It was really rough at first because hip hop was considered the devil's music. And the Bible says death and life in the power of the tongue. And so we were speaking life over this music, but it was so new and so different and it was so aggressive that, people kind of ran from it. But our imitates life, they did the same thing, believe it or not. For us, BB and CC Winer seems tame, but during their time, man, that was very, when and the same thing with the Winans. When they did a song with
Teddy Riley.
Teddy Riley. Oh man, they was on Soul Train. Oh man, they bringing the devil in here. So it was rough, man. I mean, I had mics cut off on me. I had people calling me I was telling me I was a devil and stuff like that. But now it's a lot different because, it's people see the fruit of the labor. A lot of the guys that were bringing us in that were youth pastors in the 90s and the 2000s are senior pastors now. I remember John Gray was a youth pastor at my church in Jacksonville, Florida. Now he's a senior pastor. A lot of the guys that were bringing us in as youth pastors, they're senior pastors now. The genre has matured too. So yeah, but we still got some ways to go, just in some different areas.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was done. Yeah.
And I would say too, man, I mean, because again, like we started as 12, 13-year-olds, late 80s. And, there was times where we get invited to churches to do music and then get kicked out of the same church for the music we were doing. Yeah. So there's been that era. But I think for me, the heart behind like what the music is, I think the heart has always been, man, this should be seen as weaponry and not novelty. Yeah. So I think now we've kind of moved more into that because now we have so many different, there's this term, I think, Christian celebrities. So we have that in you have that in the pastorate as well as in music and Christian music as well. So it's like when it becomes so much novelty, it's kind of like it loses the teeth of what it's able to do versus being the weaponry of what it can be. Because it's street music that bleeds out across the globe for the most part, because there's a sound to it, there's a candidness to it, there's an aggressiveness to it, there's a wittiness to it to make it what it is, and people live off of this music and the sound of the music. So it's like, for me, it's always been weaponry, but if the blade goes dull, then it can never fully do what it was intended to do. Yeah. And again, styles change, formats change, and all of that. But I think if we just lean back on the novelty side of it, which I think it's had its ways of doing that within the church or within Christian industry, then it just becomes novelty, and it's kind of it's cotton candy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Versus being the sword that I feel like it's honed to be. So.
And when things get popular too, man, you have to just like hip hop. When things get popular, you start to see it. And now I remember when they said hip hop was a fad, but now you see Captain Crunch doing the Running Man, and it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like it's when something gets popular, everybody's doing it now. So then it's the same thing. I remember doing prison tours, man. Shout out to LG Wise and the Great Tree Family. And cats, man, we was doing, we would go from city to city going to prisons and juvenile shelters. And like Verve said, the origination of what we do and the purpose for what we do is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ through hip hop music. But with the popularity of it, everybody and their mama started doing it. I mean, like I was called out of the world to do gospel rap, not knowing that there was a whole genre. But now you got a whole that's 20 plus years. But then you think of a kid who saw me 20 years ago who might have been 9, 10 years old, or 8, 9 years old, and they say, "Oh, okay, I want to be a gospel rapper." It might not necessarily been a calling. It might have just been, I'm in church, I'm a rapper, I'm a rap for God. It's just like that whole pastoral celebrity thing, the phase that happened, wave that happened in the kingdom in the late 90s, early 2000s, where there was this whole drove of people going to seminary to be megachurch pastors. A lot of times they weren't called, and it kind of faded out, and you've seen a lot of stuff happen from that. And people thought, but it just was a phase, because once something is popularized, then everybody and their mama start trying to do it. But only what you do for Christ is going to last, and only the ones that are really in it for the reasons of glorifying the King. And it'll weed out. It'll weed out because there's a lot that comes with it when you're called. And I'm not here to say who should be doing it or who shouldn't be doing it. I think it was Paul who said, I'm just paraphrasing, but he was saying, but that happened in the Bible days. Some preach for this reasons and some preach for that reasons, but nevertheless, the gospel is preached. So I think I'm not here to hold the gate of who should be and who shouldn't be. I'm here to do my part and hold the line to know, and I can speak for my brother in this as well too, to say, hey, well, we're here to let people know that Jesus Christ is Lord through top quality music, and have edutainment, and people are glorified, and God is glorified through the music. So we're just here to do our part, and we celebrate and any and all young people that and artists that are here to do the same thing. And I think if we coming from it from that standpoint of artists and DJs and people of the culture and the community, then God can get the glory of that. And our generation now, 40 years plus, 30 years old, still love hip hop, still love Jesus Christ, raising our children in the admonishment of Christ through and using hip hop as a vehicle. Man, we're in a whole nother generation to spread that, and we have to have these conversations to keep the main thing the main thing. This thing is about Jesus Christ, man, and Him crucified, and He's coming back. Believe it or not, man. Y'all saying to say what you want to say, man, but that message is still true, man. Jesus is Lord, and He's coming back, and He loves you. And if you wanna ask Him to come into your life, He'll save you and fill you with His Spirit. And our home is heaven, man. So that's what the music is about. That's what we're about, and I know that's what y'all about. And we're here to hold that line, man. So that's what it is, bro.
Yeah, man.
Amen.
Amen. And there's a couple of things that I thought about as y'all were talking. Verbs, you were saying about how CCM, 20 years ago didn't know what to do with Christian rap. I think that's probably still true today. I still don't think they know exactly what to do with it. But one thing that I've told people, and some of these younger guys, man, I don't know if they believe me or not. So I want to say it with y'all here on the stream so you can hopefully back me up or tell me I'm wrong. Either way, whichever way you want to go with this. But like, it's crazy where Christian rap is now 20 years ago, right? Like I was talking with my guys C Mike and Robert Dean. We met up last year and went to Aaron Cole, Andy Mineo concert, and I was like, dude, 20 years ago you wouldn't have had a show that was just Christian hip hop happening,
Yeah.
right? Like I remember you had to go to the punk rock shows. You had to go to the Tooth and Nail tours because rappers were on there,
Yeah.
and they're out here trying to convert an audience that's not there for this kind of music into fans.
Right. It's so true.
And that's where it came from. And so, like, hey, not enough, or maybe it's not this, that, or the other. It's like, man, I get it, I guess, but at the same time, I know, and there's people that know where it was not that long ago,
Yeah.
and there has been these strides. So now there's these opportunities, and we need to take advantage of those opportunities to continue to elevate the space. And I love that you guys, veterans in this, are back and able to come in and breathe into this a little bit and give your experiences to this space, man. Um, I just love it, man. Let's make sure. I want to make sure to give plenty of love to the new single, man. What else do you guys want people to know about it? I'm gonna get this up here. I'll say this, man. If y'all haven't heard it, you can go all kinds of places. They'll tell you where you can go, but I can tell you can go to FiveTwentyCollective.com right now. It is on the homepage. You can check it out there. But back to you. You haven't said anything for a minute, man. What else you want to say about the new single, man? Get up this code where they can go maybe purchase it and help bless you guys a little bit too.
Yeah. No, I want to respond to what you just mentioned, man. As far as maybe the industry not knowing still what to do with it, I think a lot of it is also that because it's been around for a time now, it's starting to grow its own legs. So we're not necessarily as dependent. Well, one, you have this thing called the internet, which came into play as well. So I think that's where artists just basically took the power back in their own hands to promote their own music to the people who they didn't have to, like you said, convince or convert. They were already in the flow of knowing what they wanted to hear, and the artists were there to serve it up. So it's been able to grow legs and support itself and not be so heavily dependent on an industry itself, just because everything is organic now. It's a real DIY kind of situation. So with that, you have the birth of, people can make records on their phone now. So you have the all kinds of artists coming out, just directly uploading their music to Spotify or Apple Music. And then you have your artists like a No Big Deal putting together these massive festivals, like a smoke festival, Holy Smoke Festival. So now it's like, oh, we now have the tools to actually build ourselves based on the framework of how we've seen it done and make adjustments where necessary. So I think that's a thing, because now it's like the voices who you hear are also the voices that are helping shape where it can go from here. So I think that's definitely an upgrade in regards to what it's been in the past. So, but yes, Afro Frontier, the single, the code is right there up on the screen. I think we kind of mentioned it, man. It's a different song. It was like the first song that we recorded where we were really dialing in that formula for the Village King sound. And so I think you get maybe the lanes you would have heard us in previously. You definitely hear that reflected in this tune, and hopefully, a little bit more, some more sugar and spice on the flow as well. So it's that perfect song for that drive, like that, like my man D just said, for that commute, whether you in a workout session. The typical song now, they tell me, is first you always have your 3-minute, 30-second radio song. Now you got your just 2-minute, Spotify upload that you might catch. So it's definitely, if that's the case, it's definitely the grown man length.
It's the grown
for 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Let's get some 3 verses back.
Right.
Let's get some 3 verses.
No, we definitely.
And we tried our best, man, to shorten it, man.
Yeah, and I think we can't say any of this without really giving a big shout out to Tone Jones. All 3 songs you've heard, some that you've heard thus far from Village King. For this one, we went the beat lease route, and he was the chef of choice, because we found when we started this, we wanted to really focus in on the writing aspect of it. And as Petty mentioned, he's produced a lot. I programmed some stuff before, but we didn't want to get so bogged down in the production. We wanted to just be able to say, hey, what's available that we feel like can fit this new formula that we're going for. And so, man, just running down a bunch of Tone Jones beats really hit the spot for us. So these songs that you're hearing on this side A of the full project is it's all Tone Jones's work, just because we think he's a phenomenal producer.
Yeah, absolutely.
The musicality, he's a very talented musician, period. And he has the right tones and textures to the drums that we enjoy. So again, big shout out to Tone Jones for that.
Yeah, and he gave us a sound. The tracks that we were able to pull from gave us a sound that was different from what everybody else was doing. No shade to nobody else, but we definitely wanted it to be different, but at the same time have the elements of of real hip hop. But it's almost like if LA, New York hip hop, LA hip hop, and Dirty South had a baby and came together. And so we wanted to have something that was different, that was banging, that couldn't be compared to what everybody else was doing. And through that, we were able to create and find the Village King sound. So when y'all hear them in their entire, hear the project in its entirety, you say, okay, I understand. Probably just from these 3 songs, you can pick up the Village King sound. It's not a Pettidee sound. It's not a Knowdaverbs sound. There are elements of the Pettidee sound as far as the tones and the bass, and there are elements of the verb sound, but we just came together and created something completely different that we're really happy with. And we hope y'all be happy with it and ride with us, man, because we're super excited about it.
Yeah, man. No, y'all already know, man. I'm excited about this. I love seeing y'all, back doing your thing. Like Daryl, man. I mean, talking to you, man. First of all, Daryl, thanks for hanging out and co-hosting this stream with me. But what's crazy, man, Daryl, is sitting here and you've done the whole platform thing, longer than I have, with 520. But we're in our 5th year at 520, man, and I don't know if I'm gonna pass the point where I'm not a fan. Like more than anything. I've been sitting here for the past hour and some change, looking at my screen, thinking, dude, we're on here with Petty and Verbs. What in the world is happening here? You know what I mean?
That, man.
This is wild to me,
Yes, sir.
dude. So I love it, man. I'm so glad that the guy and the voices that I came up with
Amen.
are coming back around, dude.
That's
Like
real.
it's feeling like home right now for me, right? And I think at a time when I personally needed this, to happen. So,
Amen. And don't ever
yeah,
lose
man.
that, man. Don't lose that, bro. Because when you, I think for me, just being a fan of Christian hip hop, I hold on to it so dear, man, because I remember giving my life to the Lord, and I remember going and throwing my CDs away, and we went through that phase at the church where you take all your worldly CDs and throw them in the trash, and it's like, okay,
Man.
all right, so
Yep.
what do I listen to now? And
Right.
then I remember going to the Christian bookstore, and it was called Paxson. It was a church called Paxson Revival Center in Jacksonville, and they had their own bookstore, but in their bookstore you could actually, I mean, they were kind of ahead of their time. This was before a lot of the mainstream stores were doing this. But you could go in and listen to the records. And, man, I would spend hours in there, man, listening to Christian hip-hop and listening to music. And it was a lifeline to me, man. And I thank God, man, because I haven't lost that, man. And I'm at the same time, I'm still a fan, too. I'm still a big fan of Christian hip-hop, man. And I know that it's something valuable right now because it's a lot of music out there, but to be able to listen to the music and pass music back and forth, man, it's an amazing thing. So, bro, don't ever lose that, man. Don't ever lose that love and stop being a fan, bro, because it's a lot to choose from now,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I may be too old. I may be too old to change that about me. So
good,
sorry,
Yes,
Daryl.
sir.
Good. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Daryl.
I'd like to say this too about being a fan,
Yeah.
and this is kind of like something that I was speaking to Eric with privately, but I'm gonna put it out there, right? See, now we've been in the space like 10 years now, website up, doing our thing as a platform. And I was sharing with him how we have our ups and downs, but I'm a fan of Christian hip hop as well.
Amen.
And every time that I get ready to shut the site down, because people don't realize you got website fees, you got even though we consider this a ministry, you know, we got this fees, we got that fees. We trying to do all the social media posts. We trying to do newsletters and everything like that. But see, it's moments like this, and I'm speaking with all of you all, but I'm speaking with you, Eric. See, it's moments like this that keeps me going.
Amen.
Every time I get ready to throw in the towel, God will send a message or somebody our way or my way that wants to, you know, that just enlightens me. I've been educated tonight. I appreciate hanging out with you all and Eric inviting me. And it's moments like this, bro, that I love, that our space can be intimate. And it what keeps me going.
Amen.
Man, Daryl, I'm glad you said that, because I would also add, I think one of the main drives that we realized kind of coming back into this was we talked about grown man hip hop. And I think, you know, we can't go without saying that I feel like there's a bunch of folks from our era, whether it be from the listener side to the artist side, that, you know, have stepping away or fallen out of the faith. And I think one of the hopes that we had in this was, man, let this trigger something in you, whatever that joy was or whatever that excitement was when you first came to Christ and you felt the spark of life in you. Man, I hope that what we're doing reinvigorates whatever that was to either get you awakened again, wherever you're at, however far you've stepped back. But I hope it ignites. And again, not that it's us, but I think there's something embedded in the sound of what we're doing that would help bring that spark to the ear of the listener if they're in that state, for whatever reason, like, you know, just whether it's just apathy or wherever you are in your walk. My hope is, man, you hear something in the sound or something that's said that sparks something new, or a new revelation again, or a remembrance of who Jesus is and why you said yes to him in the first place, man. So you saying that, I think, because again, when you just doing life as a man or as a woman, there's so much other stuff that's coming at you, but to be able to have these moments that anchor you for that next season or that next step, man, are critical. So
that's real. And this, I've been approached by quite a few artists that have said, man, y'all putting out music, y'all doing this, man, y'all waking me up. And I'm like, rise up, man, let's go, rise up. And I mean, it's happening in the mainstream where these guys are rising up, these guys are putting out new music, these guys are, and it's just like, but what I'm seeing it from a spiritual standpoint, I've been getting a lot of messages from brothers and sisters that's like, yo, like, I can't believe y'all finna drop this music. And then we dropped Harriet Tubman, and they was just like, yo, like, this not for play. Like, y'all not gonna have on the Platinum Fubu, you know, this not gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's not gonna be that.
Petty's got the fashion. You got them fashion references tonight, man. I want to see Platinum Fubu, skinny jeans. You know, let's get all that out here.
Like, come on, man. You know, so it's definitely an awakening. And man, I had somebody talking to a guy last week, and he was like, man, I'm just believing God for a new thing and revival. This is a great season for revival, man. You know what I'm saying? Through music, through ministry, there's a lot of stuff where the world will grab one or two situations happening in the church, happening in the kingdom, and then put a magnifying glass behind the negative things. But what I love about Christian hip hop is that, you know, when you're authentically doing something, rap has always been, you always get praised for authenticity. And, you know, when you find music and people that are extremely authentic with what they're doing and their message and what they're saying, then that trumps, the drama. And I remember, getting saved and going and doing concerts and hearing about people having church hurt and people having this happen and people having that happen. But then they say, but man, y'all come here, man, y'all real, bro. Y'all coming to the streets and this is another. And the thing is the authenticity of doing something that, You know what? The Bible says that let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Well, I know that pastor did what he did, but these guys and these girls, man, these people right here, they real. And it comes with those trials and tribulations. It comes with us wanting to throw in the towel. Verbs will tell you. I even said in the song, like I tried to quit. I tried to give it up. I tried to throw in the towel. I tried to let it go. But when it's a calling, and when you say, okay, Lord, here I go. I'm gonna not my will, but your will be done. People recognize that. People need that right now, man. The world is in a weird, crazy place, man, and they want to hear something that inspires and that encourages. And I think just speaking back on the people who are not really, they want the expectation of awards and streams, and they want those things, but not understanding that those things don't breathe life into you. Those things don't breathe life. Because I know people with Grammys, I know people with platinum plaques on the wall, but if it's not speaking life, and like you said, brother, like D said, these reasons, seasons, and moments like this is what makes me say, thank you, Lord, I didn't throw in the towel. I feel the same way, after over 20 years, to be able to be on here with my brother and to be able to say, thank you, Lord. This would never happen if I had thrown in the towel. Somebody who's watching this live right now, he's being inspired and blessed. And these are those seasons where God is glorified through us. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So that God gets the glory from what we're doing. We've tried to talk about the music, but look, every time we talk about the music, we end up talking about life. We end up talking about Jesus Christ. We end up talking about these things, and we are men, and I can't leave the women out, but we are the generation who have continued to take the gospel forward and move the gospel forward. And I remember this thing, and I'm glad that God is killing it and is deadening it right now, where you hear CHH artists saying CHH is dead and all this kind of stuff. And I always knew it was young guys, man, because, they were being disenfranchised with what they wanted from CHH. And basically, when you're planting seeds in ground that's not your ground and you don't get the harvest, yeah, it's dead, but to you, because you're not getting the harvest. You're planting seeds in ground that, I'm from Florida, so we grow oranges and watermelon, and you can't go to New York, and you go to certain places where the ground is frozen, and so somebody see this person's fruit and then say, well, I'm gonna get me some seeds and I'm gonna grow that, but you might not be in that season to receive what that person received. You got to ask God what's in your season. You got to ask God, I'm okay at a certain season of being a Navy SEAL in the kingdom. Are you okay with going and speaking the word of God, but you might not get the pat on the back? You might not get the thank you for your service. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with knowing that your reward is in heaven? Once you come to peace with that, then God can get the glory.
Dang, man. Talk.
Like
you said.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I can get long-winded, man. We passionate about this, man. This thing real. It's real to us, bro. It's real to us, man. Jesus is real, bro. Like, this thing is for real, for real. You're not talking to some little kids, man. We grown men out here, and it's not about how much we know or what here to prove. It's just sharing that gospel, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ, man. And God is alive and well. CHH is alive and well. And we here, man. We here, and we here to share the good news of Christ, man. And we just believe in God for revival, bro. For real, for real.
Yeah, man. No, you're hitting on so many things. I'm like, I want to have that conversation. You know, but I don't know. What we're gonna do is we're
That's
gonna get
all
you
we got to
back,
do a
man.
part 2 then.
No, we gotta do part 2. We got to get you back and be on the radio show. I mean, we got a bunch of stuff we gotta do the way that you're going right now,
You
man.
got to continue it on our podcast.
Dude, we
Let's
got
do
some
it.
options. We got some options, man. So,
Good.
but yeah, no, I love it, man. I love it.
Thank y'all, man.
Oh,
Thank y'all
wow.
for having us, man.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
So
sir.
again, guys, the new record, Afro Frontier, out now. You can check it out at FiveTwentyCollective.com as well as wherever you listen to music. Album coming,
Yeah.
but don't rush. Don't rush. Enjoy the singles, of course.
Let us keep cooking. Let us keep cooking, bro. Let us keep cooking.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
This is
ahead.
part of those current waters that we was talking about earlier. Is, you know, the artist part would just dump it all out there, you know. But we learning. All right, here's how it goes now. Get the single, hold one back, and then get the drop. So we're being patient, and because it's all finished, it's all done.
Yeah,
we're just waiting.
Yeah. And we're
working the clock right now.
Yeah, I've been more of the aggravated one with that but I've been enjoying it because it's so different for me. I'm so used to just drop a whole project, and I keep telling Verse, man, I'm enjoying it. I'm frustrated a little bit, but I'm enjoying it because I just want to drop the project. I'm from that era where we just drop the whole project and get in the car and just ride, you know, listen to it. But you guys will get a chance to ride. We'll get a chance to ride to the whole project. But I'm understanding and enjoying this process, and people able to chew on each single and chew on each song. And I'm learning, and we're learning to appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our guy Jimmy from That's Not Christian podcast. He was hanging out in the chat. He said, "What's good, bro?
What's
we
up,
appreciate you for hanging out." Yeah, man.
And Wagwan brethren. Who was that? Jay is LA just popping. Wagwan, me brethren.
Yeah, that's Jimmy. That's Jimmy, man.
That's Jimmy. Jay is LA. What's up, man? What's up, Jimmy?
Yeah, bro. That's our family right there, man. They've been on here. We've been on there. We kind of took over their show when we were on there. It was an accident, but it happened. Man, and of course, you know, Daryl, shout out to you and everything going on over at the Bookkeeper. Thanks for sponsoring these live stream interviews, man. Again, get the quick plug, man. Where they need to go, what's going on over at the Bookkeeper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Like I tell everybody, you can go to your favorite web browser and just put in hashtag TBK247, and I guarantee we'll pop up everywhere. But I do got a shameless plug. Eric, you know about it. We about to drop something that we feel like never been in this space with an ebook that and this book is, I feel like it's for the people that don't leave the pews, right? That get forgotten, right? That got them stories out there, them drug addicts and them strippers and the people in prison, right? And sometimes I feel like as a church, we don't get out the pews enough or the church house to reach these people, right? Yeah. So y'all be on the lookout for that. We got a soundtrack with it, with some nice artists in it. You know, we got some art up in there, you know, and it's a story that I feel like will engage everybody. But Eric, I just want to appreciate you, man, and your platform, man, and everything that y'all do. And it's an honor to be on here tonight with these two OGs. Well, I might say three OGs because Eric, like my big brother in this space.
Oh, stop that. Stop it. Come on. You can't do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
so
dude.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Village King, the legends. Pettidee and Knowdaverbs. Where do people tap in? Where they support? Where they keep up on the next single, the album? I mean, let's just speak into existence. I don't know what I was playing, man, but like, you know, the world tour and everything else is coming.
All of
man.
that.
Come
all
on.
of that. Let the OG let y'all know.
Man, it's at Village King, pretty much everywhere, social media. That's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the tick, all that good stuff. Yeah, we're there. We try to stay consistent with posting updates, especially when we have a song that's about to drop. Yeah. So so anywhere those platforms, you can see what we're doing to track with it. You know, anyone wanting to bring us in for some shows or concerts or whatnot, all that information is available in those places as well.
Yeah. And it's VillagKNG, Village King, VillagKNG on all. I almost couldn't spell that for a second, but yeah, it's Village King all across all platforms.
Love it, man. Hey, and don't, man, let's not let this be a one-off, man.
Oh,
Y'all
man,
come
for
back
sure.
anytime. You tell me when you're ready, man, because we're here. We're waiting on it, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all. Go support. Go check out FiveTwentyCollective.com. Join the newsletter, and we'll be back very soon. That's the plan. Actually, hey, I should say this. We're going to be back Monday night. We got an artist by the name of Serious Voice coming and hanging out with us Monday night. We're going to talk about her latest single. So make sure you tap in then. YouTube.
Oh, she dope.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my guy, Mr. C, man, for making that happen. You know, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, on Twitter, all that good stuff. And let's go.